Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to The Walk. Today is Monday, April 28th, and we are up to Ezekiel 45. There's only 48 chapters, so we are probably going to finish in the next, maybe the next month or so. So we've been doing this deep dive. We started it, I believe, right around the first week of July, and we are going to be finishing up this book. So I'm asking that you please pray with me about what to do next. Will it be another book of the Bible, or will we go back to what we did in the first 4.5 years of the walk, where it was more topical and I would get a different message every day, or sometimes there was a series about a topic. So just please pray with me about what we should be doing next, because that time of getting to the next thing is coming up pretty quickly. So in Ezekiel 45, it starts to talk about the holy district. And I found some really interesting things in my notes. So we're going to go kind of slow. I don't know if we're going to finish 45 this week. We'll just see how it goes. So in the Apologetic Study Bible, there was a note for chapter 45, verses 1 through 8. And it says, the Hebrew text gives the dimensions in cubits of the sacred district and its neighboring tracts for the city of Jerusalem and for the prince. The district allotted to the prince extends from across the land to the west, the Mediterranean, and to the east border, the Jordan and Dead Sea, between the lands of 6 tribes to the north and 6 to the south. That's going to be in Ezekiel 47, verses 21 to 22. Ezekiel's dimensions are rectangular and take no account of the actual topography of the land except for the boundaries. And we'll see that in Ezekiel 47, 16 to 20. So what's the takeaway from this? The takeaway from this is that this temple is given very specifically with all the measurements to Ezekiel, and it takes no, it doesn't even account for the way the land is, where the hills are, where the mountains are, where the valleys are, where there's a river. It doesn't even account for that, because none of that is relevant, because this is that millennial temple that's going to be during Christ's 1,000 years reign. The only topography that it mentions is what's on the very edge of this city, of this structure. So we have to keep in mind that it's pretty safe to assume that there's going to be some massive changes to the world in that time period. Now, when I got to verse 7 and verse 1 and going all the way through verse 7, I kept seeing the word holy, and I kept seeing it over and over and over again. It shows up a total of 7 times, and that means completeness. Now, what's interesting is that 6 of those 7 times, the word is Kodesh, Q-O-D-E-S-H, and it means to be set apart. So when I looked up the definition in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, of course, it's a phrase, so all I could find were synonyms. And that would be, those synonyms were devote, dedicate, set by, save, set aside. All those things are what this Kodesh means. So then as I kept going further down, when you get to verse 4, you're going to see a different word for holy. And I'll review that when I get into the actual scripture tomorrow. But this word means sacred. And when I looked at the definition in the Merriam-Webster, it means what it means is to be able to approach, to be able to get close to be close to the Lord. And the word is mikdash, M-I-Q-D-A-S-H. And it means that it's a sacred place. So that word for holy is different. Unfortunately, in our English, the only word we have is holy. But in Hebrew, these are 2 separate words. We have 6 that are Kodesh, which means a place that's set apart. And we have this one word that means sacred. When I looked up sacred in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, I found that it means to not be violated, criticized, or tampered with. So this word for holy is about God's protection, God's provision, and the fact that God's got us. Have a wonderful day. God bless, and keep walking the walk.